Ladies and gents, we're talking about Trials today as it's right around the corner. And considering that something unprecedented happened this week, Bungie listened to the community. As you know, Trials will be power enabled, but artifacts will be disabled. Now, that's not to say artifact mods, but the power that your artifact grants you will not give you an advantage in Trials, which concerned a lot of people. It is a huge win in the books, boys, considering that Bungie listened before launching Trials. Normally in the past, they would just launch it, observe the data afterwards, and then make adjustments. But this time they were being proactive. They listened to the feedback, which is a fantastic step in the right direction. Now understand, it's very important that something like Trials launches correctly, because once the damage is done, that's it. For the most part, it'll be tainted. And right now, Bungie has the benefit of having the community behind them since the most recent announcement to artifact power being disabled. Today, guys, I wanted to bring up things that we need to have Trials succeed, both initially when it launches, but most definitely in the long run. This is actually a list that me and many other Trial Sherpas have gotten together and pitched ideas in. So first on the list is a no-brainer. But let's go ahead and get it out the way. Anti-cheat. Yes. Bungie's already announced before that they already have like a new anti-cheat currently in place where it will actually auto-ban you instead of Bungie having to go and manually ban people. Pretty sure that's already in place as of right now. Because I've seen some forum posts where people are like, yo, I was using a bot for another game. I wasn't even using it for Destiny, and I still got banned. So obviously this anti-cheat does pick up things and hands out auto bans, thus making the banning process quicker. Now, as good as that may sound, it's gonna have to be even more strict when Trials is present. We've run into all kinds of cheaters, and it only ramps up even more inside of Trials. DDoSers, outright hackers, and especially since the move to Steam, those things have only blossomed even more. So a good anti-cheat service is gonna be an absolute must for Trials to succeed. Now moving on, the second thing Trials needs is flawless rewards. And I'm not talking about participation awards. I'm not talking about you got 2 losses, but you got a 7-win card or a 9-win card, whatever it's gonna be. I'm talking about flawless rewards, adept weapons, unique weapons that look cosmetically different and possibly has a trait of some sort that benefits the weapon inside of Trials or maybe elsewhere, but something that stands out in parentheses that says adept. This matters so much. On the other side of things, something that Jay actually mentioned to me, which would really incentivize people to actually go flawless, is that for every character that you run flawless per week, you have a high chance, if not a guaranteed chance, to get a 60+ stat armor piece. Now to me, that's not as important as adept weapons, but it would be a beautiful cherry on top to incentivize people to go flawless and gives them something that doesn't just benefit them in Trials, but a 60+ stat armor piece can benefit them anywhere. Now the third thing that Trials absolutely needs to have, boons. So back in Destiny 1, you could buy boons. Some of these boons gave you an extra win before even starting the card. This was actually called the Favor of Osiris boon. Also the Boon of Osiris, which actually allowed your first win to count as 2 wins. This of course made the card go a little faster. But the most important boon is Mercy of Osiris, where it actually allows your first loss in Trials to be forgiven. Now I know some people are like, whoa, aren't we just making things easier for people to go flawless? Maybe I can live without the Favor of Osiris and the Boon of Osiris, but the Mercy of Osiris, that is so important because there are some things that you just cannot control in a Trials card. Sometimes you just get Anteater and you get kicked to orbit. Other times you run into a hacker or a DDoSer, or you just run into that stacked team on the final game of your card and nothing kills your momentum more for future cards than receiving a loss in one of those heartbreaking ways. Fellas, mercy is essential. Now inside of Destiny 1, you can actually use passage coins to purchase these boons. I'm sure they could do something similar to that even inside of Destiny 2. Maybe there'll be a different system. Regardless, there needs to be some level of protection at least once per card for things that you just have no control over. And this is definitely more directed at the times when you just get kicked to orbit or when you run into hackers. Now the fourth thing that Trials absolutely needs, no locked loadouts. Now a lot of people looked at locked loadouts as being like, ooh yeah, super competitive. You gotta go in with the best of the best. This actually made things more stressful because sometimes you just want to meme out. And that's kind of what made Trials fun back in Destiny 1, right? You could just meme out at times. But with something like locked loadouts, it kind of like sucks the fun out of this playlist. It makes everyone use whatever the best of the best is versus experimenting with different builds, different weapons. Locked loadouts stifles that creativity. Hands down, guys, I cannot stress the importance of allowing people to enjoy Trials. Even though it's supposed to be this super competitive mode, there's gotta be a level level of enjoyment also involved. And locking loadouts absolutely kills that. Now, number 5. This is kind of something that's been affecting PvP players for a while now, but I really think PvP players need in-game caliber rewards similar to 980 Nightfalls if they max their card out on wins. As in, if you get 9 or 7 wins, which definitely takes way longer than doing a 980 Nightfall, you should get like an Ascendant Shard or a chance of a shard, some prisms, some cores, maybe even a randomly rolled exotic. Again, similar to 980 Nightfall ordeals. Now, I mentioned here, and Jay actually brought this up to me, for 9 or 7 win cards, but we didn't mention flawless. The reason why this is, if you happen to be, say if it is for a 9-win card, if that's the way the cards are going to be, you happen to be at 8 wins and all of a sudden you receive your first loss. It's a good chance that you're probably just going to go ahead and finish that card out, right? You're going to get that 1 extra win to at least get a chance at an exotic as well as some in-game materials. Simultaneously though, it won't make you feel like you just wasted the past hour, hour and a half, or 2 hours to get to that point. At least you can walk away saying, hey, I got something. No, I didn't get flawless, but I got some in-game materials here from this run. And again, when we sit there and we weigh time spent here, obviously a 10-minute 980 Nightfall is way faster than getting max wins in something like Trials. Which takes us to our final point. And this is where things are going to split for us, boys. Because I know a lot of you won't agree with me, but I got to say it. Artifact mods need to be disabled inside of Trials. More specifically, battery mods. Now, in Shadowkeep, in Season of the Undying, we had Arc Battery. Now, Arc Battery was very annoying, especially, with Bottom Tree Arc Strider. I absolutely hated it. This season, we have Void Battery. And by the way, guys, these battery mods essentially allow you to gain an overshield while you are performing your class ability. Obviously, this is more beneficial for our hunters who can dodge. It's not only are you being evasive, but you could tank a pretty significant amount of damage. In an elimination game mode, battery mods will 100% keep hunters alive. People already use them all the time in comp, and I know a lot of people run to the defense here and say that, oh, battery mods aren't that bad. It doubles that ability regeneration time. Trust me, most hunters, at least good hunters, are running max mobility, and they can easily do it, especially this season. As with mods like Powerful Friends, reaching max mobility is not a difficult thing to do, thus driving down that class ability cooldown greatly. So even with a battery mod, you'll still have your class ability pretty much in every single engagement. And again, this is elimination. This isn't survival. The pace is pretty slow. So waiting, 18, 19 seconds for that class ability is not something detrimental to you. Now, I know this seems like I'm personally attacking hunters. And if that was the case, I would be saying, hey, disable artifact mods for just hunters. I really just think artifact mods, just in general, inside of PvP should be disabled. Now, do I think this is going to happen? No, because Bungie just recently announced how anti-barrier rounds are going to do more damage to barricades with the most recent nerf to barricades. Barricades are breaking the game. Let me tell you, how many times have you won a game and you're like, oh yeah, baby, you can't touch these barricade moves, but it's whatever. All I'm trying to get at is that I think artifact mods are 100% going to be present next season inside of something like Trials, which is very concerning. Now, granted, next season, we're probably going to have a solar battery mod, which probably won't be as bad as arc battery, but it still serves the same purpose. It still keeps you alive. In an elimination game mode, especially when you combine it with things like Wormhusk or Jesters, things can really get out of hand. And understand, guys, in Trials especially, the power of 3 comes up a bunch. As in notoriously in the past, in both Trials of the 9, but especially in Trials of Osiris, a lot of people will rock the same exact loadout with the same exact subclass, with the same exact thing. So when we think about what should not be involved in something like Trials, that's what we're thinking of. We're thinking of 3 Wormhusk hunters with battery mods, constantly rolling on the ground, healing themselves, tanking damage, and that's a pretty difficult thing to go up against for anybody. So that's something I would really hope for. Now, I don't think it's going to happen. I actually think I read last night from Cosmo, maybe it was Cosmo, that artifact mods will not be disabled. So it sounds like we're just gonna have to deal with it. And if that's the case, for my Titan mains out there, you better get ready to rock double suppressors and chunk them things all game long. That's about the only way I know how to deal with this. Double suppressors, max discipline, and essentially join the anti-fun committee for Trials. So guys, those are the things that I wanted to touch upon that Trials needs to succeed. Let me know in the comments below what you think. There is one that's kind of been up in the air, but I didn't really want to bring it up because I don't really know where I stand on it. It's difficult. And that is, of course, should people be able to visit the Lighthouse even if they haven't gone flawless? So remember back in Trials of the 9, if you just got 1 win, no, you couldn't go to the lock portion of the spire fire, but you could at least go to the initial place. You can at least travel to that social hub. In Trials of Osiris, though, what really kind of just preserved that prestige for many years was that the only way to get to the Lighthouse was if you went flawless. There was no other way. You had to go flawless that week. I'm going to kind of leave that up in the air because I really don't know where I stand. Obviously, I want the prestige of flawless and the prestige of the Lighthouse to remain intact for years and years to come. At the same time, though, for the person just to experience the social hub area, maybe not the flawless area, but just to go there to that place, maybe not give them instant access after one win, but maybe 9 wins. You know what I mean? Like even if you get to the end of the card, like we mentioned before, you just got a loss, but you worked your butt off on that card, and you get 9 wins out. Boom. You get access to the social hub area. That's kind of like where I stand on it, but feel free to let me know in the comments below how you feel about that. Well, fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.